What's up, everyone? I am Toku Tyler, and today we will be talking about the very first episode of the newest Kamen Rider series, Kamen Rider Zi-O. This was a great start to this new series. I think it's fantastic because the whole time travel element of it, it's so cool. The suit is awesome. I've said it when I first saw it. I made a video about it, and as soon as I saw it, I knew this was going to be a fun series because the suit looks so good with the watch theme, but just it looks great, and it's a really cool story with the beginning here. It's really awesome. So enough about that real quick. We're going to talk about the episode starting now. So we open up the episode in this empty desert wasteland sort of place where a massive statue commemorating Zi-O's first henshin stands, with a bunch of statues of every Heisei rider surrounding it. It's so cool. And in the middle is a statue of the main character, Sogo, and he's, like I said, surrounded by these tall statues of every rider from Kuga through Build. It's so cool. And I love that statue. I honestly would love like a miniature version of that. That just looks so cool, but it's whatever. It's awesome. And this is where we first see the future Zi-O, or named Oma Zi-O, in his like black and gold and red suit. It's all decked out and it's so awesome. He's so evil looking. It's really, really awesome. And he is fighting what I assume to be resistance fighters, trying to, overthrow him, defeat him, stop him from, his tyranny and all that. They are doing this full out assault against Zi-O. He uses his powers of time, and they are beyond anything they could defeat. He's stopping things in midair, blowing things up with waves of energy. He's unstoppable, and he controls space and time, and it's they're not going to win this. So, controlling space and time, he lets out a big wave of energy, turning everything into dust that it hits. And in the background, we see one of the fighters with his daughter, who we will see, as we go on with the episode. He pushes her into a ditch as the wave hits him, and everyone else just fades away into dust, leaving her alive and some of the other resistance fighters we find out. But it is yeah, that's deadly. He can just wave his hand and people just die. It's so crazy. And this is where we get the opening. I've heard the opening before this episode. It's pretty good. I'm getting used to it, but the actual opening video of it, all the images and everything, is fantastic. With the statues like crumbling, revealing the rider masks and everything. It's so cool. But it's a good opening. The song is pretty good. So that's how I feel about it. So back in 2018, we meet our hero Tokiwa Sogo. His dream is to become king. It's a very weird goal. Honestly, I don't know how to feel about it because, on one hand, if it works, we know it works because he does become a king of some sort. But on the other hand, people think he's a weirdo and he doesn't really have a plan for his future. And we see that his classmates don't see him as normal. One of these guys from the karate club actually like flips him, like after literally getting flipped around. um, he's still on this whole being a king thing, and the guys just wave and walk away. But anyway, after he gets up off the ground, a weird device appears on the seat of his bike. It's what is a ride watch, we know, but he takes it and he thinks it's weird, so he leaves it on the ground for someone else to find, but I guess it disappears. I don't know. And he's riding his bike, and we have this weird scene with Gates sneaking around in his time machine, or time majin, or whatever. It's got a cool name, but he's just walking around in this weird robot in the middle of the day, and nobody sees it, really, when he can just fly in and kill Zi-O then and there. But whatever. Sogo goes to the place where he lives. He lives with his uncle, who coincidentally owns a clock repair shop. So he's around time all the time, which I think is pretty interesting. Maybe there's a reason he lives with his uncle who's around clocks and time. Maybe there's a reason behind it, but I don't know. But we don't know about Sogo's parents at this time. If something happened or he always lived with his uncle, I don't know. But it seems he too is getting sick of this I'll be king one day stuff. He even has like this college application, like this thing so he can prepare for his exams to get into college and stuff, but he just throws it in the garbage after Sogo says, "No, I'm going to be a king." It's a real problem. But anyway, Sogo goes out, rides around with his bike again, and we meet Woz, this hooded figure. His name is Woz, W-O-Z. I checked it out. And we meet him for the first time. He seems to have knowledge about Sogo's future in this book. I forget what the name of the book is. I'll learn about it again eventually. But he gives Sogo a warning about the red robot, and then he just leaves. Right after that, Gates appears in his Taimajin and makes his move by attacking Sogo on this bridge. Sogo tries to outrun him on his bike somehow, and he then finds cover for a little bit, but as Gates is almost trying to grab him with the robot arm, another time machine appears, and he gets in, and they go back to the time of the dinosaurs, and the girl driving is named Tsukuyomi. This was the girl who was back in 2068 against Zi-O and everything, and she is from the future like Gates, obviously, and she shows Sogo all the things that he will do, the very demonic king he will become, hoping that he will choose a different path. So her goal is to get him to not become Zi-O, to throw the watch away and all that, and not become king. And when they go to another time, just to stay away from Gates and all that, they're in another time period of Japan, a different era, and they're sitting down, and the watch appears in Sogo's hand again, and Tsukuyomi warns him of its power, telling him this is the thing that will give you all the power of Zi-O. It'll turn you into the very force of evil that destroyed the future. There's a moment in this part of the episode where she starts to think he might be the wrong guy. She may be right, because he's obviously not this demonic king, but then Gates shows up in his rider suit, which is so awesome, by the way. A red suit, bat-looking eyes. It's so cool. I love the color scheme of that suit, just by the way. Gates is a phenomenal-looking guy. But anyway, Gates follows them through time in this time sort of portal, like they're going through time, and he pushes them through it, sending them into another time, specifically 2017, where Sogo runs into some familiar faces. As he's being chased by a hazard smash, he meets Sento and Ryuga, Kamen Rider Build and Kamen Rider Cross, and proves to them that he is from the future. Sento does some tests on the watch he had with him and proves that it is not from any kind of technology from this time, so it is from the future. But soon after they start talking about it, Tsukuyomi shows up with a Phase gun, or the Phase gun X, as I've been told, and knocks out everyone with this, like, stun blast. She says it's too dangerous to mess with people from the past, even though she's been doing it the entire time they've been running. You know, getting money from this digital tablet thing, giving it to someone back in time. I don't know, the rules are tricky with her. Anyway, we then cut to this kid in 2017 who's about to get hit by a car. He's shooting basketball, and it goes out into the street, and this young boy shows up and stops the car. He stops time around him and the basketball player and tells him that history says you were hit by this car just now and died. But if you make a contract with me, I will save your life, is basically what he's telling him. So, obviously, the basketball player wants to live, so he makes the contract, holds this ride watch, and it turns into an evil another ride watch, I would call it, with the another build face on it, the monster build. And using the ride watch, the young boy named I don't know how to pronounce his name, it's UHR, but he uses it, presses the button, and puts it in the guy's chest, transforming him into another build, the monster version of the riders that the monsters will be called. They're called Another and then the rider's name. I think the suit looks pretty monstrous, to be honest. I think it's really cool. And supposedly this happened in the year 2017, but he shows up in 2018 later on. I don't know how it works, but time's funny like that. So then we see Sogo back home in his bed, and he thinks it was all a dream. He's telling his uncle about everything about being a king and being, a dark, evil ruler of time and space, but his uncle tells Sogo about how life doesn't give many chances. And Sogo thinks about it as he's walking through town, but then runs into another build, the monster. The blank ride watch appears again in his hand after he tries to fight him off, and Tsukuyomi arrives and holds him back with the Fai's gun, and tells Sogo to get rid of the watch. Once again, warning him of its power and what he'll become. Woz appears again, telling Sogo to become the king of time and space, sort of, trying to be like, this is the only way you'll be able to fight the monster. You have to trust the power, you have to become Zi-O. Tsukuyomi seems to recognize him, meaning he might be from the same future, obviously, because he seems to know a lot about Oma Zi-O and everything. And Sogo then becomes convinced about being a king, but instead of being the despised evil ruler they say he'll be, he decides to become a kind and beloved king instead. So at that moment, the ride watch he was holding changes into the Zi-O ride watch. And when Woz presents the GQ driver to him, we get a fantastic henshin. He places it on his waist, the belt forms, he turns the face of the watch, presses the button, and I love the sound when it says Zi-O in the ride watch. I just think it's really cool. But when he places it in the driver, we get this giant clock, this giant see-through clock behind him, along with other smaller clocks on the sides of it. It's so cool. And then I love how when he spins the driver, the entire background, everything behind him, spins with it. It's just so cool. It spins, I believe, in a counterclockwise motion. It's just such a cool shot to see. It's so awesome. And with Woz announcing his henshin, Kamen Rider Zi-O is born. And it's so cool. I love the suit, like I said. It's so amazing. And after transforming and everything, he goes and fights another build with ease. He lands one punch, sending the guy flying back a few feet there. And it was awesome. And as the fight progresses, he's starting to lose because another build is throwing an energy basketball at him, which I thought was a nice detail. But as he's losing, the Jikan grade shows up from his driver. It shows the letters for it, and it forms into sword mode, or Ken mode as it's called. But he then uses it and starts winning, and as another build jumps up in the air to slam dunk the basketball, so to speak, Zi-O jumps up and slashes him after placing the ride watch on the Jikan grade. It was so cool, because it looks like a clock hand. I love it so much. And after that, his victory is short-lived when Gates shows up again. So this time, he asks Zi-O why he chose to be an Overlord. Zi-O tells him the same thing that Oma Zi-O said in 2068. I was born to be king. And with that answer, Gates is infuriated, and he transforms, and I love how he has a digital clock instead of the classic, clock hands that Zi-O has. It's so cool. And his also spins around too when he spins the driver. It's so cool. And I love the suit. Once again, like I said, I love Gates' suit. So awesome. Plus, we get our first armor time in this episode. Gates uses the Ghost Ride Watch and summons the Ghost Armor. It's so awesome. And the icons are the shoulder pads. It's just so cool. And then he's able to summon Ghost Damashis from the icons as like backup sort of soldiers for him. It's so cool. And then as he's charging at Zi-O, we end the episode. So yeah, that was the first episode of Kamen Rider Zi-O. It was really cool. I have some issues with it, to be honest. Every show has its issues, but so Sogo needs work. Honestly, I like him. He's likable and everything. He's got a fun dream, but I just don't see him as, king type. I don't know. There's just something about him that we need a little more. I know it's only episode 1, but I need a little bit more to learn about him and everything. And the story is super cool because we already know that Oma Zi-O exists. We know that there's some sort of evil Zi-O, and they say he will become evil Zi-O if he goes on this path. But it's just cool because we don't know if that really is Sogo. That's what I meant by maybe she doesn't have the right guy. Maybe he starts out as Zi-O, but something happens that takes him over or something. It could be, I don't know, but and as always, I love time travel. The theme of time travel just it amazes me. I love it. And what better way to see past riders than time travel? I just think it's so cool with the watch theme and everything. It's amazing. It truly is. And yeah, I can't wait for episode 2. And as of this recording, I think episode 2 is coming out in a couple of days. So it's really cool. I love it so much. And yeah, I want to see this fight and in the trailer for the next episode, we get the build armor and everything. So it's going to be super fun. I cannot wait, honestly. It's so cool. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified of future videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.